of owning a cafe, and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tristero. Chapter 175. New Eden. Part 2. Watching as Yutaji-san approached her other grandfather's bedside, Eri felt, "There we go. How are you feeling, Chisaki-san?" Really happy to see the kindly older man who'd petted her hair and comforted her after Mama left was not only sitting up but awake, his bewildered eyes wide and blinking from the black-suited man who'd woken him to the private hospital room. This was nothing like the frightening places Overhaul had forced her to sit in for hours on end, thank goodness. Plus, there were 3 really nice men who'd greeted them and embraced her papa. The fuss he received from them made her feel better about being in this chamber, though.
"What's going on? Who are you people?"
Even if it smelt like the sterile, dustless, echoing maze she'd been trapped in for so long.
"I don't... Where am I exactly? What's happened? Wait, Eri, where is my granddaughter? My ward! Did he do this to me?"
Smiling, her left hand interlaced with Kota's right, she swiftly approached the elder, her free hand waving. "Oji-san!" she called, her smile brightening as she and her new friend clambered up the step a lovely featured nurse had placed next to the bed.
Eri-chan?
The former mafia boss breathed those gentle, shock-shaken hands, reaching at the copper face disbelievingly.
"My dear, look at you," he rasped. "Your hair is longer and you're taller,"
he added bewilderedly, his wrinkled eyes tearing.
How long have I been like this?"
He rasped, his sallow countenance palling further when the 3 men reached the foot of his machine-dotted tube and wire-laced bed.
"The best we can estimate based on Overhaul's testimony and what CCTV footage we've been able to analyze is just over 1.5 years, Chisaki-san,"
the dog-headed officer explained.
That's not possible. "I'm sure that this must be distressing to hear,"
her newest uncle furthered, his eyes narrowing a touch.
"However, we know who you are and have uncovered a great deal about your organization in the meantime," he informed gruffly. "But in light of current changes, since you were made incapacitated, you have choices other than prison time available to you now. The judge we've brought your case to has agreed that, given the circumstances, consider the state you've been trapped in as time served,"
he advised, his jowled face offering a rueful grin. "It's okay, Oji-san," she told him brightly, her free hand patting the one still cupping her cheek. "My papa, Oto-san, and Yutaji have been working real hard to help you." Watching as the man who'd told her that Daddy going away wasn't her fault, who'd bought her nice dresses and peeled numerous apples for her, blinked bewilderedly from her to Papa and his first set of brothers stood quietly behind him, she smiled all the wider and gestured at him excitedly. "Papa's actual name is Yagi Aizawa Shouta, and I'm going to be Yagi Aizawa Eri. I don't know how to spell it yet, but Papa's been reading to me and showing me what all the different symbols mean, so I think I'll be able to write it soon. Oh! And Atsuhiro-ji says Meraiji will teach me how to do the fancy calligraphy with brushes and ink, too," she chirped.
The still-sat elder managed. "Papa, my dear, do you mean that young man over there?"
Nodding delightedly, she squeezed Kota's hand before releasing it to turn and skip towards her first true father figure, her eyes shimmering gleefully as the dark air pro leaned down to scoop her up and cuddle her against his chest with a happy sigh. "Papa!" she gushed, her right arm gesturing back at her maternal grandfather as he stood back up, the gentle caress she was held in unwavering. "This is Yakimaru-ji-san," she introduced warmly before sniggling against him as he stepped towards the bed. "Oji-san, this is my papa," she introduced when the man who'd loved, protected, and saved her stood beside Kotakun. "Ever going to live in Musutafu, across from his cafe, full of cats, and the rest of our family, too," she joyfully declared before looking up at the man himself. Isn't that right, Papa?
Only if that's what'll make you the happiest, princess.
One of the men she wanted to be raised by replied softly, his tone warm and expression enchanted.
But before we get that far, let's just have a chat with your Oji-san, okay?
He said as those dark eyes met her grandfather's.
We probably have a lot to talk about, don't we?
Between talking with Chisaki-san,
Please call me Yakimaru, Shouta-san. We are family now, are we not?
and somehow managing not to get the life squeezed out of him by Taishiro and Gendo.
Oh, Teach! I'm so sorry! Thank you for giving me another chance!
Yagi Aizawa Shouta felt as though all the storm clouds that had metaphorically plagued him for this past week dissipated and faded into summer skies.
So, I swear to you, he's gonna be on probation with me and community service. Forget about it. He'll be doing triple the hours the police force have set once again.
Summer skies filled with his community.
I Taishiro-sama, I promise to leave you with the teacher, give it back to me and everything else I don't deserve.
His family.
I'll be helping Aaron-chan with school too, Osai. Me and Fuchida Kohana, Asui Samanare, and Satsuki-kun. Oh, and Spinnernee's younger sister, Annika-chan. Ma, we're all gonna make sure that she's happy, and we'll help her with her homework too. I know Shon'll probably have to walk her through all the math stuff, though.
Which now, after a thorough conversation with the Yakuza boss, was definitely going to include Eri.
I have no doubt that you and your friends will be wonderful companions for my granddaughter, Kota Shoten. Thank you.
For the man had lost the fight against his tears.
I begged him to reconsider his ill-guided self-proclaimed mission. I gave him further responsibilities. I forbid him to be alone with her. I'd even had my secretary fill in an application for one of the best medical schools in the country, and to think that he threw everything he could have been away. We may be Yakuza, but honor is something I'd thought I'd instilled in him. My parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents worked with the government. We worked hard to keep civilians out of the businesses we conducted, even when quirks started to manifest. There are no words to describe my sorrow, my regret, and my disappointment in him.
The realization that he'd failed Kai, or rather, failed to see the madness lurking behind that calm, intelligent exterior had broken the crime boss.
I understand that your forgiveness for his transgressions is not something I should ask for. However, I will offer you my most sincere apology all the same, and after seeing your credentials, let alone how my dear Erin looks at you, I'm not sure what paperwork I need to sign. However, I can think of no better family for her. All of my people are long dead now, and my daughter, well, even if I knew where she was, I don't believe that reintroducing my granddaughter into her life would be a good thing. She handed Ellie to me with a heart full of mournful, angry bitterness, for you see,
the elder breathed.
Her quirk rewind. It reversed her father into nothingness, and my daughter, well,
he sighed, his wrinkled eyes screwing shut in grief.
I can only thank God, if such a thing exists, that the police force were there to protect Ellie when they put all of the pieces together,
he said quietly, his shaking fingers lightly going through the photographs Shouta had presented to him upon his phone.
But to my friend with a power like yours, I can finally rest easy.
He tried to spoil.
That, of course, is merely a bonus, isn't it?
He added, his eyes widening fondly at one of the pictures Toshinori had taken of him and the child only hours ago, her little form set across his shoulders as they walked through the exotic garden Melissa had planted for her own mother to enjoy when she fleetingly visited New Eden. His husband should take up photography as a hobby once his retirement kicked in earnestly, shouldn't he? He'd framed them smiling at the same time, their bodies haloed by a multitude of butterflies in varieties that no longer existed outside of his father's country. This one was definitely going to be printed and added to one of the Noroneko's walls, wasn't it?
She adores you, Shouta-san, just as much as you, your husband, children, and extended family clearly adore her,
the Oyabun stated firmly, their eyes meeting as he was giving back his phone.
And that is good enough for me.
Walking around the township of Jiu, his eyebrows rising at the sheer variety of what was offered to them in actual stores, some of which boasted social media platforms and international shipping a la Kirogiri, Atsuhiro felt bemused, elated. My darlings, he grinned as Ochako, Tsuyu, Neijire, Fuyumi, and Neito-kun all gawped alongside him, similarly amazed. What do you say we get my memorize MX Black credit card to go to workout? I guess it's much to this shop windows and we've been working so hard this past week, haven't we, eh? Watching as their eyes glinted at him, Sako Atsuhiro chuckled and bowed grandly at them, his right arm extending out to lead the way, even if it was a little difficult to keep the smile on his face. The thought of that sweet, definitely traumatized little girl choosing to stay here with her grandfather wasn't something he wanted to dwell on, but wouldn't that be yet another kick in the teeth for the big-hearted baker who'd somehow snagged up a bunch of erratic, manic, ill-tempered, and mostly damaged strangers and spun them into a family? Didn't he deserve a happily ever after for a change? Not that, to his mind, having children underfoot was such an incredible thing, but Shouta thrived where he was needed. He flourished when creating conflict resolutions. He glowed brightest when their community was settled, and hell, he'd only known Eri-chan for a handful of hours. But who wouldn't want to have a papa like the eatery owner? And sure, New Eden seemed nice and all. However, with Toshinori and Shouta as her parents, what wouldn't she be empowered to do? Where couldn't she go? Dami, Tomura, Hitoshi-kun, and Neito-kun were living proof of that, weren't they?
You know, Ajuji-chan, this whole distracting us thing, although appreciated, really isn't warranted.
The blonde teen quipped knowingly, whilst the oldest Himura girl chuckled, her eyes similarly rolling fondly whilst they strolled down the cobblestoned high street, their group largely left alone by the somewhat wary-looking locals.
Why, Nathan, I'm not quite sure what you mean.
He feigned, his maroon eyes flickering from a tailor's shop to an honest-to-goodness farmer's market, featuring organic produce, honey, jams, homespun fabrics, and apparel.
I'm not...
Nana, you're worried that Ari-chan isn't gonna want to live with Shondi and that might, right? Neijire teased, her arms were roping around his left as she leaned into and looked up at him mischievously.
We can totally tell, you know?
She winked while Tsuyu chuckled behind her and Ochako laugh snorted. You know, considering you guys are older than us and allegedly wiser, the brunette snickered, you sure get me dense when it comes to simple things. She tittered whilst he bolted at them. Honestly, Atsuji-chan, Fuyumi sighed, those lovely olive eyes sparkling knowingly. Of course, Eri is going to want to be a Yagi Aizawa. She smiled warmly. I know, in a way, that's what all of us are, aren't we? Blinking at the young woman and Kapikor user bewilderedly. I'm surprised Namunia hasn't set up a betting pool based on your pensiveness, Kiro. Atsuhiro chuckled, an elegantly gloved hand rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly, the tension in his shoulders bleeding away. What was it that Shouta liked to say so often? Ah, yes.
You're such good kids,
he grinned, a true smile gracing his features.
And since you also shop, let's go hunting for a welcome to the family present by fitting a princess then, shall we?
He knew he shouldn't have given in to the baiting, but...
Come on, Mando, you're boring me!
As he and Gigantomakia exchanged blow after earth-shaking blow, he...
What's the matter, huh? You've not given one for all up yet, right?
He found that he really needed this.
I think the children have pulled out and faster punches on me today.
He needed to release the pent-up strain, aggression, and fear that had been choking him ever since this Sunday just gone.
Where was your strength?
The Sunday where he'd ignored his lover's texts in favor of sleep.
Where is your conviction?
Chosen to be abroad when his whole world was in Musutafu.
Is it any wonder those Yakuza bastards stole your husband away from you so easily?
What? Snarling his body, hovering over the once placid lake, the crackle of blue energy that had been skittering over his white t-shirt and khaki cargo pants, doubling in size and luminosity, Yagi Aizawa Toshinori balled his fists tighter as the water beneath him gushed and cascaded away from him.
How dare you! Don't think, don't talk!
The now gargantuan man roared, his body soaked, his black pants torn and ragged around his now boulder-like calves as he stomped in the ankle-deep, now muddied water they'd made during their spent.
Just come at me!
Not needing to be told twice, the number one rushed forward in a blur of motions, his fists flying so quickly that to the group looking on, it must have seemed like he was launching 1,000 blows or more.
Wake!
And he wasn't done, feeling every ounce of his grief, his heartache, his almost blinding fury pour out of him in a torrent of power. The current symbol of peace howled, his mind and body not giving a jot that the giant was giving him just as good as he got.
Hold on!
Hell, it shouldn't have felt exhilarating, freeing, or something he should do, but
Faster! Come on! Texas Smash!
as Gigantomachia huffed, his body jutting away from the special move he'd just unleashed to skip like a stone across the water before sinking with a mighty splash, Toshinor realized that he wasn't just smiling.
Whoa! Jason, that was crazy!
He was lighter than he had been in years.
You're so fucking manly!
Chuckling a little at the children's enthusiasm, the blonde waved at them before employing his master's float to skirt over to where Machia was spread out across the water's now less torrid surface.
Oh, you're all right.
The other grunted, his bruises already healing, whilst his pupilless eyes gazed up at him candidly.
Shut off.
He accused, his lips clipping into a wry smirk.
Do you feel better?
Blinking, his brows lifting a fraction, Japan's symbol of peace lowered himself into salty water to lie alongside the man he'd once nearly fought to the beat. God, that seemed like another lifetime now. His cries of rage at Nana's death echoing in his mind as he chased all for one's ghost around every dirty back alley, seedy underground hideout, and gore-smattered illegal laboratory. It was hard to reconcile the past. It should have been difficult to lounge here now. The behemoth next to him no longer a threat as a Nomu he once would have feared and battled against, clicked and tittered at them, its multiple amber eyes blinking at them, whilst inky tentacles the size of tree trunks coiled, slipped, and waved at him curiously, but it wasn't.
You know,
He breathed, his tanned hands lacing under his head whilst he regarded the so-called ancient magical technology that lit up this country.
If I didn't know you better, I'd say that you were trying to help me just now.
He grinned, the other's annoyed snarl lack any of its usual eat. The older brawler grumbled, those mounted his shoulders rolling easily.
Just count yourself lucky that you married who you did.
The other huffed, his tone oddly fond.
I'd have punched my way through every one of those shitty bastards' hideouts to make sure I could enjoy more of his baked cheesecakes, you know?
Watching as his partner, teammates, senpais, and youngest siblings dashed around the dinosaur enclosure, their smartphones videoing and snapping photos, Tokatamiria felt,
Whoa, this baby Triceratops is so cute! Toshi! Come take a selfie with her while I feed her some more of these leaves the Tamer gave me, please! Incredible! Fine. You know I can't resist when you pull the puppy dog eyes on me. Just make sure she doesn't spit up near me or sneeze, okay? Snot is snot, no matter how adorable and almost cat-like she is. Oh God, is she purring?
Here he was, his cobalt eyes brightened with joy, whilst the huge family he'd so accidentally become part of, thanks to Dabi-senpai, lived what would be a childhood dream for many.
Uh-oh. Looks like 2 of the 4 Cafe's small lovebirds is plotting to bring a fight on herbivore up with them. Oi, Mashiro-kun, as the responsible member of your little love square, you're in charge of Dino Watch, okay? If Nato gets one of this hill of Atsuhiro-ji compressing that thing in an instant, because everyone knows our little copycat has got it wrapped around his little finger.
That, and, well,
Ah! Tomo-ni-san! That's not... We're not... I mean, isn't that obvious?
he was going to inherit his idol's precious quirk. You guys actually have hearts in your eyes whenever you're together, you know? It's something I've been trying to convince our big brothers to put in their video games. The greatest hero their country had ever seen was trusting him.
Yada, you want to talk not so kind. You've got it so bad financially, John. that you should have an age rating attached to you when you're within 10 feet of her.
Him! The cheesy joke king of their wonderful friendship group.
Oh, oi! Damini! That's like super harsh, ma. Maybe it runs in the family, since you're always hovering around your husband. And Shoto-kun couldn't be more attached to Izu-kun if we sewed them together using one of Mimi Bajan's sewing kits.
He really couldn't believe it.
What? Guys, come on. Shoto-kun doesn't feel, that way about me.
He just hoped that they were right, that he was worthy of such an awesome responsibility, that he'd be able to take one for all, protect it, shape it, and then one day pass it on to another person.
Yes, I do, Izu-kun.
Maybe a person that I'd yet to meet and bring into the Noraneko.
You, really? But I'm so, awkward and ordinary. But you're incredible.
Wouldn't that be neat?
Izuku, if you dare to call yourself ordinary ever again, then we're telling Shoni on you.
Not that he was in a rush to transfer the gift he had yet to receive, of course.
What?
Oh no, he wanted to savor it. He was so hyped! Just to see how it would work with an enhanced permeation too.
Then we'll get Dynamite and the team mobs on your case.
Wow, his goal of saving over 1 million people was actually in reach now, wasn't it? Aw, there's that coon spinning. Come on, lay off that cocoon and let him and Shoto-kun have their moment, okay? Melissa chuckled, her summer dress glad form, now waving them towards another paddock. And besides, since we all seem to be sharing confessions, Riki-kun, would you like to walk with me, nah? Just about smothering his mouth to stop the laughter, Mirio gave Tamaki a tender squeeze. They grew up so fast, don't they? He grinned, his expression scrunching cutely as he winked at the elven-eared teen, who blushed and leaned in nonetheless. Huh. The younger replied, his beautiful indigo eyes looking from one small prehistoric lizard to the next as they walked through the reserve, whilst a small smile pulled at his lips.
Oh no. When we're older, would you like to have kids?
Blinking, his expression owlish while his own cheeks glowed pink, Mirio released a contented sigh. With you, Tamaki-kun, he breathed. I'd love to, and I think we can give some future kids out there what Shoni, Toshiji, our parents, and our Cafe family have given us. Don't you? He replied fondly, the glow of his cheeks darkening right alongside his partner's as his ears rang wedding bells. The future, huh? It was gonna be
Fantastic!